okay to call the meeting to order? Got your pen? We're ready?
Yep.
Everybody ready? Okay. All right, public discussion of any items not on the agenda. Okay. All right, we will consider the minutes from the December meeting. I noticed a Scott versus Ron kind of thing in the notes.
One thing that Ron picked up on. So.
I did.
You're the same person. Oh my God, it's revealed, you know?
All right.
So I'll move approval of the minutes with that change.
Seconded.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right. Okay. Ooh, all right, South District Bus Stop Bench Project update.
So Ethan said he was going to be here.
Okay.
But I don't see him. I spoke to him. What he said was, project, I would say, is probably in that 97% done. I do have some photos that he sent, but I got them right before I came in, so I only have one copy. I can certainly pass them around. He does have some touch-up items that need to be done, and some things that need to wait until it's spring. And also at that time, I believe we're planning a ribbon cutting at the same time. And he has not requested payment yet, which I believe will be coming. I think we could consider it substantially complete at this point. And I can certainly pass the photos around if everybody wants to get a look at them.
I know I do. Ooh. Ooh. All right. Okay. Okay, the updated public art strategic plan, we're getting in the mood for that for May. So we are going to look at the public input survey results, which Jeremy has nicely kind of aggregated, compiled, like gotten some vibes from, observations. How
Yeah,
would
it's a AI dump, so
you- Okay.
still need to look at the raw, results.
Okay.
So I think I totaled is about just under 400 total respondents to it. Wide range of ages, wide ranges of locations, as far as around Iowa City where they submitted from. I think, overall gave a nice, well-rounded view of what people's views were on the artwork for Iowa City and sort of the direction. I think there were some trends, which I think, Jeremy might be able to lend into as to what he saw as well. Things they liked, things that maybe they'd like to see a little bit different. But I'm guessing that most people pulled the same, permanent versus a lot of a mix of both is what everybody really kind of leaned towards. I think maybe the majority leaning towards permanent with the occasional pop-ups. But I think a lot of the both was sort of a trend that you saw out of a lot of people. Anything in specific anyone wanted to kind of cover on that?
I'm just excited we got as many as we did this time, so I feel like it's been nice to be on the committee over time and feel like our survey numbers keep increasing, so more.
Yeah, I know the goal is like 500, but it feels like, getting to that 400 point was a nice number to get to.
Yeah.
And everybody, a lot of thought, like, it wasn't just yes, no, here's where I'm at. It was a lot of thought out, typed up, actual thoughts of what they thought of the programs, so.
Yeah, I think
It's
it's
nice to
been.
get that input.
Yeah, no, great that communications will put it out regularly, that we're doing this. I'm like, yay.
I did notice, obviously, there was a lot of different feedback of a lot of different types. I noticed quite a bit of controversy over the Burlington Street murals on the side of the parking ramp, which I won't weigh in on particularly which way I feel about that controversy, but I do think that just generally speaking, I think public art is usually considered sort of sterile and inoffensive, and the fact that there is some that does get a reaction of some kind, I think is probably a good thing, in that it's not just purely decorative and it does make a stand, it does have a point of view, so.
Yeah, I'm still a little, I don't know. was expecting that, but also,
I think it's certainly probably the most
surprising.
visible
Yeah.
pieces of public art in town, just because it's along a major road and very large and noticeable. So it would make sense that it gets the most attention, but yeah.
One thing that's sort of reflected in here, but a lot of people mentioned bus stop art.
that too, with the, sort of the functional,
Yeah,
And some buses, too.
yeah.
Yeah, I think like public facilities, trails and parks, I think there was a high percentage of people that wanted to see additional artwork done in all of those locations of varying types. So I think public facility-wise is something that was certainly, obviously, public facilities being open to everyone, I think is a direction that everybody kind of leaned on. I think high 40% on all of those, if I remember right.
I would also, I mean, a lot of the feedback was specifically about pieces of art that are not under our jurisdiction, which, like, obviously we sort of support the mission of public art generally, but we can't do anything about, say, university installations or the Herky statues.
I was kind of like, amen to those.
Yes,
you know?
that Homer Simpson Herky. There was a very funny bit of Homer Simpson Herky feedback about the Homer Simpson Herky.
Oh, I'll have to go back and look.
That
there was- there
I would
was some-
definitely seek that out. Just do a Control F for
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one
yeah.
and look for that. But yes.
Yeah, the Herky's got a lot of pub in the,
Yeah.
there's a lot of responses to the Herky's.
They're very, yeah, I mean, once again, they're very visible, which, I mean, that's what people are going to be drawn to give their feedback about. I did notice, it seems like the demographic breakdowns at the end where it sort of tried to cross-reference different demographics the numbers didn't seem to make sense to me the way they added up. It seemed like the numbers were very small in that cross-reference section at the back. I'm not sure if there was some sort of limitation on what the data could be used for, or if there was some sort of mix-up with how it was collated, but it didn't really add up to the figures that were given at the beginning.
We'll see if we can get a look at it and see if there was something that maybe was a little off.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
I think it was kind of interesting to see the continuity between, and it's the never-ending just back and forth of whether more downtown art or, neighborhood art, and people have feelings both ways for both, so, I don't know. I kind of, it's like, ooh.
It's like it makes sense to put art where people go, but people will go places that art is, and so it's sort of a chicken-egg situation.
Anybody catch the Florence, Italy comment? I found that one deeply amusing. Somebody lived in Florence and was like, Iowa City can't compare, and you're like, no kidding, no
okay.
kidding,
Give us 700 years to catch up. And
I know, I'm like, you can't be a hotbed of Renaissance art here, Okay. Yeah. Do we want to, as Leslie mentioned, maybe kind of pause this conversation to go to Ethan now that Ethan is here and
Yeah,
then back?
we can certainly step it back if you would like to go back to item number 3. Item number 4, we can certainly step back to that.
And then that will, Ethan can do his thing and then relax, sit in,
Yeah.
leave, whatever you want to do.
I passed around your photo already, so yeah. Yeah, but if you'd like to,
Thank you, everyone, for working with me the last 2 years me and Ray to finish this off. But he's not working with me anymore, but it's done. So, well, there's a little bit more painting to do, but it was really difficult, but I think it was worth it. It's a pretty cool project. I'm really happy with it, but that's all I have to say, really. But thank you to everybody. That's all I gotta say.
all right, thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
anything else on the survey that we need to cover? Or is there anything direction-wise that you need from us on that, other than maybe checking into how some of those demographics got tied together?
Sort of, we did the public meeting before the survey, and I have heard from, arts groups that was appreciated. And I think it has value both like directing public art like the city does, but also bringing people in the art community together. So I know we might want to think about doing something like that again in the future.
Okay, I'll make a note of that one. Thank you.
I'm wondering if we as a group, and I don't think it's necessarily a formalized staff project per se, but to go through a little bit more with the comments where we have the question about where have you seen art in other places besides Florence, Italy, perhaps, that people have enjoyed, and doing a little bit of poking around on that. Like I know, you mentioned Sioux Falls and different things, so if we wanted to just kind of check out a little bit more of that, or if
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I've been to Sioux Falls. Nate, I'm just looking at you for some reason, but you're like, hey, Nate, I've been to Sioux
I've never been to Sioux
Let's
Falls
talk
or
about it.
Florence, but
Yeah, so, but if we wanted to do a little bit of just poking around to seeing what people mean, I don't know what Key West has, but apparently has several amazing pieces from the page I'm on. So, of just kind of doing a little bit of that informal poking around.
A lot of individualized responses on that one versus things that you could say, oh, 10 people, 15 people,
Yeah.
100 people said this, like we saw in some of the other responses. It was very individualized.
yeah, I think anytime you give people the freedom to type anything
Thing,
into a
yeah.
field, you'll get anything.
Yeah.
And that, requires quite a bit of work and study and aggregation to make meaningful judgments about. But as a cross-section or just as sort of like an understanding of what people are thinking about, it gives some insights for sure.
I will look into if there's a way to pull some of that together.
Yeah, and I can, if we want to figure out a way to do some of that, or, Sioux Falls came up in, 10 different comments. Okay, well, let's look at Sioux Falls. Any other standouts from people? We just kind of, okay. All right. Okay. Ready to, I don't know, I feel like last fall call for comments on this one. We'll come back to it, et cetera. Okay.
I'm guessing it'll come up in some of the talks down the line. There'll be, that's a lot of data to think it won't come up again in some of our discussions.
All right, we'll move on to thinking about the March meeting a little bit.
Yeah, I know we had talked about just, I think really trying to get a reminder out there. There is a lot of information that is going to be discussed or needs to be gone through prior to that March meeting. Andrew and I had a brief discussion a couple days ago, I think Tuesday, about making sure we get reminders out with some of the data a couple of weeks prior to make sure everybody has time to review a lot of those documents, bylaws. There's just a lot of information that has to be gone through for that meeting in March. So I will get that out. We'll make sure we get that out early. We'll still send the reminder the week of the meeting to make sure that we're all on the same page there. But that is something for March that we want to make sure. I don't know if there's anything specific, Andrew, you wanted to cover as well, but
It's more of, so when we were chatting about, Rachel and Chris and I were chatting about this, it's staying in the mood for strategic planning in May. So to just kind of, review the documents we have, review the strategic plan we've been working with. I think Rachel has some questions for us to think about in March or so. And so to do some of that pre-planning, just keeping it top of mind, because we'll have a break in April to, do the matching grant program and getting that done before we hit May strategic planning. So it's just keeping us in that kind of, that document-heavy, information-heavy space to help us move to our next strategic plan. Excitement.
yeah, and I think it's just making sure everybody's at least gone through it prior to that meeting to make sure that the discussion kind of keeps going along those same lines.
So do we ever, when we put out a call for public art, do we ever have a specific location in mind beforehand, or? No.
Yeah, we've done it both ways.
Okay. I'm just curious because in the survey, there were a lot of specific locations or general neighborhoods mentioned, so.
And I think That would be kind of nice to go through a little bit to just see, because I was like, oh, folks by City High seem to have some need.
Yeah.
But of going through that and seeing what, trends we might come up with and
Yeah.
focus on. Looking at Coralville, can't help Coralville with that. Yeah. All right, staff updates.
Did include, I think it was the year-end report, I think was after the amendments were made to it. No action needed on it, but it was included in your packet as something to have and to look through. Not sure if there are any questions on that. If not, I think that was really the only, obviously, March 14th, we have another meeting before it closes, but March 14th, I believe, is the closing of the public art, the grant program, the matching grant program, so that's quickly upon us. I know Rachel covered the budget last time, so really nothing there. You guys went through that pretty thoroughly last time.
Last time we did a sort of a information meeting. I don't know if that's a new thing, but it was like a Zoom call.
For people interested in the public art grant, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that something we can do again?
I can certainly look into it. It wasn't something that was on my list of things, but I will take a look at it.
I think it just walked through the process and what their criteria was for anyone that wanted just a little more hand-holding information.
Yeah, I did talk to Tashaylin before I came into this, and as of now, we have 0 respondents to that.
I've had a couple contact me for
Okay, good.
projects
Okay.
that are coming, so.
I had the county reach out to me on one as well, but that may qualify under some other funding that we have, so we'll keep you apprised of that as it develops.
Having this, we'll probably get a rush towards the end of the deadline.
That never happens, right?
All right. Well, Julie, do you want to just update us on how your artist talk went last month?
Yeah, I had a really nice artist talk, middle of the afternoon on a really, really cold day at the senior center. So not perfect for that crowd, really, but we had, 25 or 30 people that came and talked about my textile art and the background on it, and it was really fun. And the art's down now, so they have a big Black History Month ball Saturday, so the art came down at the end of last week.
Scott, anything from Ron? Anything from you? Nope. All right. Okay. Old or new business? All right.
Did Rachel have her baby?
Oh, did Rachel? Yes, she did.
New business, all right.
I believe we anticipate Rachel coming back sometime, I would say, late April, May, somewhere in that timeframe.
Okay, looks like perhaps a motion to
Motion to adjourn.
All right, look at that, keeping Ron's streak. Second.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.